During the 1960s and early 70s, 50,000 Australians served in Vietnam. Among them were 43 army nurses. Their story has never been properly told. Few people even knew they existed. That changed in 2004 when documentary filmmaker Polly Watkins came across their story.
I was actually literally watching the 7:30 report. Some of the nurses came on and I suddenly went, gee, I was a bit young over the time of Vietnam War, and I sort of vaguely remember it, but I was too young. But I was aware that our soldiers went, but I'd never thought of women going. That inspired me, so I rang up somebody who was interviewed on the show and I said, is a documentary being made about these women? And she said no. So it just started happening. It was like, okay, I want to make it. And she said, great.
Well, I had a phone call. I think it was Polly on the phone, ringing me up and asking me if I would be interested in being part of a film. First of all, Polly came down to see me at the Returned Nurses Club and I think we talked for about 3 hours and I don't think I even gave her a cup of coffee.
She was there in 1968. What experience did she have as a young woman? And I wanted to hear their memories and their feelings about it in a way that wasn't me trying to have any particular agenda. I was simply wanting them to tell their stories in however way they wanted to express it.
That's Maggie and me.
Yeah. Oh, is that okay?
There we are. That's I'm looking at something fairly extraordinary.
And I like the everyday detail of it. I like the fact that they were young and that there is a level of excitement and adventure in these things. And I think often that is acknowledged with war, but often it's not. And I think with women too, that they had this sort of Australian larrikin sense of humour that I loved. I thought they were wonderful. They actually could see that I was truly interested right from the beginning. And because I was dealing with them one-to-one, it wasn't like we were a small film crew when we were filming. But way before, a year before, I had made contact, I'd gone to visit them, and they were just dealing with me on that level before anyone else was involved. So they got to know me, and they actually, from the first time they met me, they said that they liked me, they felt comfortable. And I think it was truly because I was very authentically interested in their stories and I cared about them.
The women, the nurses we interviewed were amazing and generous and, and for many it was the first time they had told certain stories.
It was very difficult when they were being interrogated by the South Vietnamese because they would become distressed and we would have to stop the we wouldn't have to stop. I chose to stop the interrogation because while ever they were a patient in the unit, then their comfort was my primary concern.
We never ever got debriefed when we came back. We all sort of went our own ways. And you didn't talk about it too much. So sitting down talking to Polly about it was a debriefing exercise. It brought back 30 years of memories for us and things that I'd forgotten about that had happened. And we all talked about it afterwards, that, it really was bringing back your past. One evening we had some casualties. We had this one lad. He'd been shot in the abdomen.
At one instance when we were filming, one of the camera assistant was, I think he was literally 19 or 20, and one of the nurses, it could have been Jan, was talking about a young soldier who'd come in who'd been badly wounded. And we're all really, the whole crew were very moved by the nurses generally, and of course this particular story, and we realised that he was actually crying, and it was because he realised that he was the same age.
Vietnam Nurses, out of all the films I've made, I'm probably the most proud. I felt privileged to be working with the nurses and telling their story.
Like all things, you wonder how they're going to come out. But I must say that myself and all the other girls were very happy with it. We thought they did a wonderful job with it, and it was a good film. It expressed the stories very well, we thought.
It's something that even now when you hear a helicopter, it can take you right back to the experiences because it does for me represent the sound of Vietnam.